Hello class, this is your notes for section 7.2. This is part 2. We're going to look at some application type problems, doing this system to three equations for some type of a word problem or application. So one of the things that we can do, and one of the things you are going to do for your functions project, is to find models for data. But if you have specifically 3 data points, you can come up with a parabola that goes through those points using systems of equations. Okay, now remember, for a line, if you have 2 points, there's one line that passes through those 2 points, one unique line. But if you have a third point, now we have one unique parabola that passes through those 3 points. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here, is a way, if you know 3 points, to come up with a parabola that goes through the 3. Alright, and what we use is this basic form right here, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and our system of equations, the variables will actually be a, b, and c, which you'll see shortly. Alright, and what we have to also remember is that in a point, you have an ordered pair, and the first one is x and the second is y. So what we end up with, I'm actually going to flip-flop it around and put the y on the right side and the ax squared bx plus c on the left. But if I put the 1 in for the x, I end up with a times 1 squared plus b times 1 plus c equals the y value, which is 4. Alright, and then that'll simplify to 1 squared is 1 times a is just a. 1 times b is just b, so a plus b plus c equals 4. So there's one equation that's going to make up our 3 by 3 system. Alright, and then plug in this point in there. So a times 2 squared. So 2 is going in for the x, and then that equals the y value, which is 1. And then if I simplify this, I get 2 squared is 4, so I'm going to write that as 4a plus b times 2, I'm just going to write that as 2b, switch them around, plus c equals 1. So there's my second equation. And then I'm going to do the same with the third point. Plug in the 3 for the x, the 4 for the y, and I get this equation, 9a squared plus 3b plus c equals 4. So those are the 3 equations that make up our system, and our variables are a, b, and c. And again, once you have these applied problems, it's fine with me if you just get the setup done and then you go to your calculator to solve it. Alright, so remember, I go to second matrix, and then I'm going to select edit. I've already done some examples with 2 by 2 matrices and 2 by 2 systems and 3 by 3 systems. And I strongly encourage you to keep one of each for when you do your quiz and your test at the end of the semester. But I'm going to come down here to the second one, edit it, and I'm just going to type in the coefficients just like we always do. Alright, and then once I have everything in like that, I'm going to press second mode to quit, and then come back in, second matrix, math, RREF, and then we're going to do this to matrix B, so 2. A was 3, B was negative 12, C was 13. Y equals ax squared, that's 3x squared, plus bx, b is negative 12, minus 12x, plus c, plus 13. Okay, now I'm going to put this in my y equals. I'll just press y equals and typed in our quadratic that we got. I'm going to press graph. Well, I'm going to hit zoom 6 to make sure I'm in the standard window. So here comes the parabola, and I'm supposed to have these 3 points on there. So I can check that by hitting trace, and then type in 1 for x, so x equals 1, 1, 4. Okay, so that one's on there. Then 2, there's 2, 1. Alright, and then hit 3, there's 3, 4. Alright, so all 3 of those points are on there. So that means that that is the right parabola. So it's a way you can check it. Alright, we got a split deposit problem here. So this person is going to take this $6,700 and split it up into 3 different accounts, one at 8, one at 12, one at 10. Alright, so I'm going to let X be the amount at 8, Y be the amount at 10, Z be the amount at 12. So once again, what we're going to do is we're going to take the information that we're given and come up with 3 equations that we can come up with from this paragraph. So we can set up 3 equations to solve for the 3 variables. Since we have 3 amounts, we need 3 equations to be able to solve it. So the first thing we're going to do is, this is the total amount invested. Okay, so these 3 amounts, whatever they are, X, Y, and Z, have to add up to the 6,700. So that's one equation. So X plus Y plus Z equals 67. Alright, now this one says the total annual income from the investments, the interest that was earned, was 716. So that came from the 8% of whatever X is plus the 10% of whatever Y is plus the 12% whatever Z is, added up to 716. So 8% came from X. The income is the interest earned, and the interest is principal times rate times time. Well, it's 1 year. Okay, so time is 1, right? Annual. So time is 1. So rate, and this is principal. Principal times rate, and there's no time. So 8% times X, 10% times Y, and then 12% times Z. If I add those 3 together, I get 716. So there's another equation. So I got 2 of the 3 equations. The third equation is going to come from here. The amount invested at 12 is 300 more than the amount invested at 8 and 10 combined. So the amount of money invested at 12%, which was Z, was is a form of the verb is, which translates to equals. So Z equals 300 more than these 2 combined. So X and Y combined, and then you add 300 more, and you've got the amount invested at 300 more. You got the amount invested at 12%. Okay? Now, these first 2 are in that AX plus BY plus CZ equals D form. So we're going to make this last one look like that as well. And the way we're going to do it is by either moving the X's over to join Z, or you can move the Z over and then the 300 over. The easiest thing would just be to move the X and Y over to join Z. So this equation right here is actually going to be rewritten as negative X minus Y plus Z equals 300. Okay, and all I did there is I just subtracted X and Y from both sides. Okay, so minus X minus Y plus Z, and the only thing left here is 300. Alright, so there's our setup. There's our 3 equations that make up this system. Again, once you've got the setup done, it's fine with me if you go to your matrix to solve it. So I'm going to go in, again, from the last example that I did. The last thing I did was REFB, so when I get this thing set up, I can just come back to the main screen and hit enter. Alright, so still 3 by 4. This is 1x, 1y, 1z, so 111 again. 6,700. And then that's a 0.08, 0.1, 0.12, and that's 716. And then a negative 1, negative 1, 300. Alright, once I get it all set up, second mode, come back to the home screen. The last thing I did was REFB, so I just hit enter, and there are my 3 amounts. Alright, so remember this is X, Y, Z, so the amount invested at 8% is 1,200, 2,000 is invested at 10, 3,500 is invested at 12. Okay, and all the stuff in the table will hold true. If you add these up, you get 6,700. Alright, if you multiply them by their respective percents, you get the 716. And if you add these together, you get 3,200, so 3,500 is 300 more than that. So all 3 of the criteria are met, so that is our solution. Alright, now this problem you need a little bit of geometry knowledge to be able to set it up. The sum of the three angles of a triangle are always 180 degrees. Okay, and it doesn't mention that in here anywhere, but you have to know that to be able to set this up. So x, y, and z, if I add up the measure of those three angles, I get 180. Alright, and then this is a straight line, so this angle and this angle form a straight line, which is 180 degrees as well. So I get 2x plus 5, alright, that angle, plus y equals 180 also. And then these two form a straight line. So z and 2x minus 5 form a straight line. So I can write 2x minus 5 plus z equals 180. So there's my three equations, but again, I'm going to get them in this form, x, y, z number. So this is x, number, y, and then a number. So I'm going to move this 5 over to the other side. So this equation is going to become 2x. This is going to be subtracted over, plus y. There is no z, I'm leaving the space, equals 180 minus 5 is 175. Same thing here, this is going to become 2x. This is going to be added over this time, no y, but a plus z equals, and then the 180 plus 5 is 185. So now these three are my equations, and I'm going to set up a system based on these, remembering to put zeros where the blanks are. Alright, so I've got it set up with each equation, so the 111, 210, alright, 201. So again, just make sure to put zeros in there in their respective positions. Alright, second mode, last thing I did was REFB, so I'm going to hit enter. And there are my three angles. Okay, so angle X is 60, angle Y is 55, angle Z is 65. Okay, and if you add those three up, you get 180 degrees. Okay, if you take Y, which is 55, and you add to it 2 times X, which is 60, and you add 5 more, so 2X plus 5, you get 180. And then if you take Z, which was 65, and you add 2 times X, which would be 2 times 60. This time you subtract 5, you get 180. So it works out. Those three are my angle measures. Alright, so again, the thing that makes that one a little bit tougher than the others is this has got to be common knowledge. You got to know a little bit about geometry to be able to do this setup and then these other two initial setups. Okay, but when you go to your calculator, you need to do a little bit of algebra to get them in this form, where the x, y's, and z's are together and the constants on the other side.